How Cuchulainn got his name. Long ago there lived a king in Ulster called Conor MacNessa. His warriors were known as the Red Branch Knights. The king himself trained them in his own special school. They could run fast, jump higher, and fight more fiercely than anyone else. The king had a nephew named Setanta. Ever since he was little, the boy had heard about the Red Branch Knights. He could hardly wait to grow up so that he could become one himself. "I am tall and strong," he said to his mother one day. "I want to go to Ulster to join the Red Branch Knights." "No, no, my son," his mother answered. "You are still only a little boy. I cannot let you go. I would miss you too much." For a while, Setanta was happy. He tracked wild animals in the woods. He knew the song of every bird. Sometimes he made hurley sticks from the springy ash wood. He and his friends played together, whacking a ball with their sticks. Setanta's team always won. He hit the ball harder than anyone else and could run like the wind. A year passed and Setanta grew restless again. "I am 10 years old now," he said to his father one day. "I can run fast and I am very strong. I want to go to Ulster to join the Red Branch Knights." "No, no, my son," his father answered. "You are still too young. You must wait until you are older." For a while Setanta was content. He milked the cows and kept the sheep from straying. He gathered firewood and carried water for the house. When winter came, there were games of chess that went on for hours. At night he listened to the old people telling their ancient tales. One autumn evening a stranger came to the gate. "I have come from the north," he said, "from the court of Conor MacNessa. I seek shelter for the night." Setanta was delighted. Quickly he took the stranger to his father. "Of course you are welcome. You are 1,000 times welcome," his father replied. "Come and sit by the fire. We will have music and storytelling this night." Soon the house was packed with neighbours and relations. Everyone wanted to hear the traveller's news. All he talked of was King Conor MacNessa and his brave warriors. His songs praised them, and he recited the history of the king's family for many generations. Setanta listened, his heart thumping with excitement. In his ears he could hear the roar of battle and the warriors' fearless cries. "I must go and join the Red Branch Knights," he burst out at last. "My uncle needs me. I am old enough now. I am strong enough now." But the stranger laughed. "You are only a child," he said. "You will be smashed to pieces in battle and thrown aside." At last everyone settled down for the night. Setanta could not sleep. He lay watching the sparks as they flew up into the darkness and were lost amongst the stars. "It's no good," he thought at last. "I just can't wait another night." Silently he rolled onto his feet, stooping only to pick up his hurley and ball. Outside was the first hushed light of a misty dawn. All day he travelled, taking directions from the sun. He did not go by the usual paths, but kept to remote hills and sheep tracks. Now no one could follow him. It was evening when he reached King Conor MacNessa's fort. Just in front of it swept a great wide lawn. There was a hurling match going on, and almost at once the ball dropped at Setanta's feet. He scooped it up with his hurley and ran. The players were all big boys. They tried to tackle him, but he was too fast, whirling past him till the ball was in the goal. There was a mighty roar. A row broke out amongst the boys. Some of them attacked him. Setanta defended himself as well as he could. "Stop!" shouted the voice from the king. "What's happening here? And who is this child?" "I am your nephew," Setanta replied. "I have come to join the Red Branch Knights." "Well," laughed King Conor, "you are only a little man, but if you always fight as bravely, some day you will be the leader of my army." So Setanta was allowed to stay. Setanta soon settled into his new life. He learned to fight like a stag and to move as silently and as clever as a red fox. But he learned too about loyalty, honour and truth. Conor was a strict master, and only the most promising boys were allowed to remain. One evening Setanta was hurling with his new friends. King Conor called to him. Cuchulainn the blacksmith has prepared a feast, he explained. I am going there now. Would you like to come? Setanta had heard a lot about Cuchulainn. He was as strong as a giant, the greatest blacksmith in the land. He gave wonderful feasts. It would be nice to hear some music and have a little fun. I would love to come, Setanta said, but I am in the middle of a game. I will follow you later. It won't be dark for a long time yet. Very well, said the king, and off he went in his royal chariot. The game was long and hectic. Setanta quite forgot about the time. The sun was going down when he scored the winning goal. I must hurry, he thought, as he washed and changed. It'll soon be dark, and it's a long walk. I'm not even sure of the way. He set off, following the tracks of the chariot wheels. There was no proper road, and soon it was almost dark. Trees creaked eerily in the shadows, and the rocks took on strange shapes. Old tales of ghosts and spirits whispered in his head. Once or twice a wolf howled, and the owls skimmed overhead. But Setanta would not admit that he was afraid. He whistled a cheerful tune, and tried to see how well he could balance his hurley and ball. It began to rain. A shivery wind trembled in the trees. As the last of the light disappeared, Setanta grew cold. He wished he was at home. Meanwhile, at Cuchulainn's house, there was music and dancing. Mead and wine flowed from every cup. Roast pig and fresh oatcakes were piled at every place. The room was smoky and hot. Cuchulainn's beautiful sisters tended the guests. The king could not take his eyes off them. As the night went on, he grew sleepy with food and wine. He did not notice the rising wind or the rain that poured down outside. It's a terrible night, Cuchulainn said. I will call in my sentries. All my guests are here. My hound will guard instead. He is a vicious killer, and no enemy will enter my gates. But King Conor was not listening. His eyes were on the beautiful girls. At last, Setanta saw the light ahead. He was cold, tired and hungry. He could not wait to be inside. He smiled to himself as the noise and music flowed out across the night. The gates were closed, but he climbed easily over and dropped into the yard. Immediately there was a murderous snarl. Setanta stood absolutely still. Two wicked eyes glistened in the shadows. It was Cuchulainn's dog. Half hound, half wolf. Setanta gripped his hurley. Wild thoughts tumbled through his head. He knew that this dog would eat him alive. There was only one chance. As the dog hurtled towards him, eyes raging, mouth snarling, Setanta took careful aim. With one swipe of his hurley, he smashed the ball and rammed it down the dog's gaping throat. With a fearful screech, the dog crashed to the ground, choking and gasping. He tried to cough up the ball, but it was firmly stuck. With one last mighty shudder, he tossed his head and died. The door crashed open. Cuchulainn and King Conor had heard the dog's wild cries. My hound, shouted Cuchulainn. Setanta, yelled the king, suddenly remembering. He dashed out, afraid of what he might find. But there was Setanta with the dog dead at his feet. I am glad you are safe, said Cuchulainn at last, but I am sad to lose my poor faithful hound. He served me long and well. Setanta stepped forward. I am sorry I had to kill your dog, he said, but if you will let me, I will be your hound. I will guard your home with my life. King Conor and Cuchulainn agreed. Soon Setanta had another name. He was called Cuchulainn, which means Cuchulainn's hound. This was his name ever after, when he became the best and most famous warrior of the Red Branch Knights.